Good evening. Tonight's stories are about true encounters with psychos. Trigger warning for story number 5, which tells of a dead baby. So if you're not comfortable with hearing anything like that, I ask you to stop at the end of story 4, and I'll re-warn you again before the story starts. Let's get started. I was once in a hot tub with some friends late at night, and we were all telling some stories. One of the guys told us this one, about a story of a girl he knows. So one day, this girl was called over to babysit. She did it a lot for these people, so it was routine for her. She was told to put the kids to bed at 9, and she did. After she went to bed, she started watching TV and doing homework, waiting for the parents to come home. But then she started hearing some noises coming out of the basement, like pans falling and stuff. She just ignored it and thought it was the washing machine or something. Anyways, a little later, she starts hearing the noises again. She decides to call the police and tell them she was hearing noises coming out of the basement at the house she's babysitting at. The lady at the station told her there's a patroller in the area and that he'll be at the house in about 20 minutes. So in about 5 minutes, she hears a knock on the door. She answers, and it's a full SWAT team. She thought that they were just sending a patroller, but one of the guys told her, after she hung up the phone, we heard a second phone on the line hang up. Ended up, there was a man in the basement listening to the conversation. The lady in the station waited and heard him hang up, then immediately sent the SWAT team to help. They rushed downstairs and caught the man. He was wanted for multiple cases of rape. I work as a night auditor for a rather large international chain of hotels. It's a good job, boring, easy, and the pay is far from mediocre for a college student. When I got in tonight, the second shift guys told me to be on the lookout for a man connected to a stabbing earlier in the day. I shrugged it off. The hotel was located in a rather safe spot, the intersect between city and country patrol, so you'd see a marked car just about every hour. Of all the places this person could go to, I wasn't worried about Stabby McStabstab running up into my hotel. About 2 hours ago, I was enjoying the isolation of the back room, the door locked, the CCTV on one screen and Netflix on the other while I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When all of a sudden, from the corner of my eye, I see somebody walk in front of camera 3, which is located at the front door. Great, a customer. This was the guy they warned me about. The guy that was connected to a stabbing earlier in the day. I met him at the front desk, sweating bullets but maintaining my cool. I let the guy check in even though his card declined, gave him his room key and watched him go up on the cameras until I was sure he was in his room. I called the police as soon as he was in his room, and they arrested the man. So for some backstory, the guy was drunk, wrecked his car, called a tow truck and stabbed the driver in the neck for some reason. The guy proceeded to evade police for well over 30 minutes in a gigantic pink tow truck. So I reckon he parked it somewhere nearby and decided a hotel is a great place to lay low. A few years back, I rented an apartment from a friend of mine. He had recently bought it and had it completely renovated. He put it up for sale but couldn't find a buyer, so I offered to rent it in the meantime. After moving in, I realised there was something wrong with the lady next door. She was about 45 but looked much older. She would sit up all night listening to Christian radio shows and talking loudly to someone. It got to the point where I couldn't sleep, so I went over to her place and asked her to keep it down. She opened a door and I got a quick peek. Her walls all had crosses painted on them in different colours, and words like Jesus and angels scribbled everywhere. The windows were painted black, letting no light in at all. It was damp, yellow stained with 50-year-old carpets, dog shit and cockroaches everywhere. No dog though. I asked her to please keep it down. She just looked at me and shut the door. Then she turned up the radio even louder. The next night, I had my girlfriend staying over. I wake up in the middle of the night and see a shadow of a person next to the bed, looking at us sleeping. I think I'm hallucinating as I usually do in the dark when I'm sleepy, but then the shadow starts talking. It's my neighbour, and she's holding something in her hand. She broke in during the night, and who knows how long she stood there.
You should lock your door at night,
she says, and walks out. The next morning, I hear someone making strange noises below my bedroom window. It's my neighbour talking to herself in tongue. She had a plastic bag in her hand and a rotting dead dog inside. It's hot as hell outside, and I can smell the death from the bag. At this point, I'm scared shitless. She's obviously very insane. I go upstairs and knock on another person's door and ask what the hell's going on. The guy's as scared as me. He told me that she broke into his apartment one evening while he was watching TV with his kids. When he got up to go get a snack, he found her standing behind their couch, staring at them, holding a power drill. At this stage, I'm shitting myself. I call the cops and they all know about her. Apparently she's a violent schizo that hasn't taken her meds in years. But they can't force her or enter her apartment without her permission because she owns it. The only thing they can do is get her when she gets outside. I sit up for the next 2 days, waiting for her to run out of cigarettes. When I hear her leave at 2 AM to go across the road to the 7-Eleven, I call the cops. They have 3 cars and a special van over in less than 2 minutes. They restrain her and throw her in the van and drive her off to some institution in less than a minute. It's like she was never there. This was back in 2009. I was 15 and starting my freshman year in high school. The first 2 months were great. I was meeting new people, catching up with friends from middle school and settling in. One day, I was drawing a picture on my binder and having fun. A girl in my math class appeared in front of my desk. She seemed interested in my artwork and introduced herself. Her name was Pam. Pam was abnormally short for her age and had greasy curly hair. Her face and chest was covered in acne, and she had orange teeth and a strange gaze. She wasn't looking at me or around me, she was looking through me. I ignored the easy feeling from her gaze and thought it was just me being anxious about meeting someone new. I introduced myself to her and asked her if she liked art.
I love art. I draw too.
Ah, that's cool. Maybe you could show me your art sometime.
She kept her eye contact steady, like she was waiting for me to say more. I awkwardly looked back down at my binder and kept drawing. She seemed to get the point and walked away. Pam came back maybe 10 minutes later with a specific piece of art and put it on top of my binder. It was shaky line work with no erase marks. It was my drawing from a week ago. She'd somehow taken it from her backpack and traced it and sloppily coloured it with a Sharpie.
Wait a minute.
I said this while checking my backpack. Yep, my drawing was stolen. I immediately got annoyed.
You stole from me,
I said, while crumbling the paper up.
No, I didn't. This is mine,
she said with a blank look on her face. She snatched the crumbled drawing from me and ran back to her desk. She didn't look embarrassed. She didn't look mad. She just grinned and stared at me for the rest of class. At first, I thought I overreacted, that I just made an idiot out of myself since the whole class was watching. But then I realised that Pam was enjoying this drama. I then became a target for the rest of the year. I avoided her like the plague for the next month or so. She wasn't normal and she creeped me out. It didn't stop her from approaching me though. I noticed every week or so my drawings would go missing. My friend would call her out for stealing and tracing, and she would somehow cause harm to them. She had lured my best friend into being alone with her. She had claimed she was returning the drawings and she didn't want to see me. My best friend went to retrieve these drawings, and Pam sucker punched her in the nose. My best friend was in shock. She ran to the office to tell an adult what had happened, but it wasn't on camera. They also claimed that Pam was a sweet girl that would never hurt anyone. Now, 2 things here. Pam obviously put in the effort to get on the good side of everyone in authority, and she lured my friend into the girls' locker room knowing there were no cameras. This freaked all my friends out. I was scared, but the fear turned into rage. Who did she think she was? No one had even thought that she would go that far. but it got so much worse. I confronted her. I told her if she ever touched one of my friends again, I'd follow her home and beat her ass. She seemed to be enjoying these threats. She grinned, with her nasty teeth showing. Her breath smelt like 1,000 asses.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
She said, forcing out a giggle. Any adult I told about this would ignore me. My parents were too busy fighting with each other to listen, and the school staff didn't care about drama. The only people I could trust were the ones directly involved and my brothers. No one could do anything without proof, and Pam was sneaky. I was stuck. I was furious, and I wanted revenge. Pam showed up the next day with a picture of me and my 2 brothers at the Detroit Zoo. She had showed it to the other students. She claimed that the man in the picture was her boyfriend, my oldest brother. She went into detail about how she had sex with him 3 times a day, and that me and my other brother were just kids he was babysitting in the picture. She ruined me mentally. How did she get that picture? It was in my locker. She'd found my combo out too. I was feeling pretty exposed and small at this point. She then decided that she wanted to get me expelled. She went into the bathroom during lunchtime and hurt herself. She choked herself on her backpack straps, hit her head on the hand dryers, and slammed herself into the walls. I only know this because a girl from my English class witnessed the whole thing. She even asked Pam if she was okay. Pam answered with,
I'm fine. Why do you ask?
as if she didn't just throw herself into sharp corners. I was escorted out of my class by 2 school security officers. They interrogated me for over an hour. They asked me where I was at lunch, if I was sure I wasn't lying. They asked me if I had a violent family, etc. I rolled my eyes after they told me I was a liar, and called my brother. He came in a half-hour later and told them about Pam and what she had been doing. He also told them that these 2 could lose their jobs for interrogating me. They seemed to listen to him because the principal was his old science teacher, and they got along very well. I managed to get 3 witnesses in. I chose the girl from my English class who saw Pam mutilate herself in the bathroom. I chose my best friend who got sucker punched in the face. And I chose an actual teacher that saw Pam take things out of my backpack, although when questioned, she said she was just borrowing books. With all this proof, they had no choice but to search Pam's locker. They found photos of me and my family. They found my schedule and an unbelievable amount of my drawings I had done. It's like she had a shrine and she wanted to be me. I was horrified. They asked me if we had been in a relationship. I said no, and then I'm straight. She ended up failing her art class because she had used all my art pieces for her work. She was suspended and seemed to have disappeared after getting caught. I don't blame her. The whole school was talking about it. I even got some apologies from Pam's little jerk circle. They told me they were too afraid to do anything about it and that she would show up at their homes randomly after school. She had so many people wrapped around her nasty little fingers. The last I heard, she pushed her own grandmother down the stairs and left her there until the cops showed up. A concerned elderly neighbour heard yelling in a usually quiet house. Just a reminder, the following story may trigger some people, so please skip the story now if you don't want to hear it. I grew up in the South in the late 70s and early 80s. My grandmother lived on a cotton farm in South Carolina, and my cousin and I would go visit her during the summer. We'd help out on the farm, but during the heat of the day, we'd go swimming in the river to cool off. Our favourite spot was fairly isolated, so we never really saw anyone else, but there was an old dirt road that ran from the gravel road back to an abandoned farmhouse in the woods. My cousin and I were in the river when we saw a cloud of dust in the distance. We thought maybe our uncle was coming to take us back to the farm, but we always swam for an hour or so after lunch, and he never drove the tractor to come get us. We'd heard some stories about some backwoods family who'd gone all deliverance on some kids a few summers ago, but we figured it had to just be our uncle trying to freak us out. Regardless, we snuck up to the riverbank so we could see the dirt road, but we'd still be hidden in the trees. We saw a ratty Oldsmobile Delta 88 with blacked out windows creeping down the dirt road. The car didn't belong to anyone we knew. I only remember the make and model because I knew it was the Evil Dead car, and because of what happened next. After it passed our hiding spot, we noticed it didn't have a license plate. It drove another 30 yards or so, and then stopped. A black garbage bag then flew out of the passenger window and into the field. It was about the size of a football. Then the car made a slow and methodical three-point turn, taking great pains not to let the tyres venture too far into the cotton field. It made its way back in the direction it came from until it disappeared out of sight. My cousin and I had remained silent throughout the event, and with the car gone, we looked at each other. I wish we just ignored it. I wish we just headed back to the farm. I wish we told our grandmother or uncle what we had seen and then to come investigate. But we were 13. Curiosity was killing us. We had to look in that bag. As we left our hiding place and headed down the road, we looked around nervously, hoping the Delt wouldn't show up again. As we got close to the drop zone, we could see blood on some of the cotton directly above the bag's resting place. We looked at each other one last time, and then we opened the bag. There in the bottom of the bag, wrapped in a baby's washcloth, was a tiny baby girl. She looked like she might have just been asleep, but she wasn't. The image of her lying there, naked, bloody, and discarded, has haunted me ever since. That brings us to the end. So the last story was a bit of a hard one to read, but hopefully it wasn't one that was inappropriate. It's always difficult because it's always hard to know what will trigger people and what won't. So just for the safety of everyone listening, I just wanted to issue that trigger warning, just so, just in case it wasn't something you guys wanted to listen to, that's all. If you did hear it, look, let me know what you thought. It's sickening, to say the least, and unfortunately people like these are out there. It is a true story, it's a true account of what these people found, and unfortunately, we see it on the news, we hear it among our loved ones or our, communities. Unfortunately, it's just one of those stories, and, here we read a lot of creepy stuff, but sometimes it's just bad, so, let me know what you guys thought. Look, special thanks to Zombie Corn and Buffy Reeds for helping out with the lines in this video. I really appreciate your help on such short notice, so make sure you guys give them a sub, check out their videos, leave a comment, drop a like, let them know I sent ya. You'll like their stuff, so go check it out. Alright guys, well I'll leave it there. I'll see you all in the next one.